Let me ask you about the competitors. When you, before you revealed the new car, and you drove the Camaro SS and the SRT8, what specifically against those cars did you find, I want to not do this and I want to make sure that this goes into the Mustang?
Well, I mean, when you look at the Camaro, for instance, I don't think personally that they've got their driving dynamics right. You know, they've got a big V8, and I just don't feel that they've got the motor and the gearbox just aren't really connected right for me.
You talking about
Camaro SS?
Camaro,
yeah.
with the V8.
Yeah. They're just not connected well, and I think that when you get in it, it's a bit lackluster when you drive it. What they did do well, and I said we had to make sure we did, I mean, the Camaro's pretty quiet out on the road, right? I mean, their NVH is pretty good. They did a good job with that.
Visibility is bad.
Visibility is terrible. I mean, that's where design,
That's
where design just takes over and completely compromises functionality. I mean, you cannot see in that.
Well, that my buddy who works at GM calls the mirror like the saggy water balloon, because you can't see out, when you look out the front, that OnStar mirror, you can hardly see out the front of the car right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got so many visibility problems. I mean, in the rear, you pull up to a light, you can't even see, your up vision is terrible, you can't even see the light. The trunk space.
Well, I actually have that problem in my Mini.
Did you?
Yeah, the Mini's got a big front end baseball cap lid.
You just can't see.
If you pull, I mean, I have to pull up a good 15, preferably 20 feet back from the stop line at a red light to be able to see when the signal turns. It's, you know, I mean, I've got the first gen Mini, and there were a lot of things with the car little things that after you live with the car for 7 years, you're kind of like.
The new Mini, though, it's not any closer to the glass.
No, the visibility isn't, but the interior is a lot better. I mean, one problem with the original Mini is this. It's got a lot of tumble home. The sun visors are tiny.
Oh, yeah.
You flip that thing over, it covers nothing. That sun visor is the most useless thing on any car I've ever seen. So on the new one, on the new Mini, they've got that, and then they've got a separate one that's up in the roof or in the ceiling that swings down.
I'm sure they've had plenty of customer complaints on that.
Yeah.
And then tell me about SRT8. What do you think about that? What were your comments? I mean, you can be nice on the interior. I know you'd say that you have a way better interior to start, but
yeah,
it has some charms, though.
It does. I mean, the SRT8. I mean, does it impress you? It doesn't impress me.
For some applications, like going really fast in a straight line for 8 seconds, but you know.
I mean, I think there was a lot of hype when that thing was coming out, and it just was sort of disappointing when it finally did. I mean, it just. I don't have a lot of.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think what we're trying to do with the Mustang, I don't think that a lot of what they're doing applies. I mean, they're in their own little world, and that's fine. I mean, they've got a following, and they're gonna buy that car, and that's great.
The thing about that car is the SRT8 has some charms, but the rest of the model lineup is really kind of depressing.
Oh, it is very
and so, if you don't have the money to spend the big bucks, then you can get a V6 Camaro, V6 Mustang, and feel so much better about yourself.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, the SRT8 is the best they've got, and I think it's just not quite there, right?
Well, you know, it's a big car.
It's a huge car.
And you know that the benefit is of that car is the back seat. If you have to sit in the back seat, I'd rather sit in that one. But to get that room, it's a bigger car. It's a heavier car.
It's more of a cruiser. It's not it's really not a sports.
It's not a pony car.
No, it's not. I mean, it's, you know, for what it is, I think it's good. I just don't. I don't think it applies to what, you know, to what we're trying to go.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny. Get out like a 1960s Mustang, I don't care what model it is, and put it next to your car, and you'd be amazed at how small those things look.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it's a totally different era. You know, the A-pillars are about that big around, you know, so even though it's a smaller car, there's a lot of room inside it because you didn't have any of these safety things and crush space and all that.
You know,
right.
I have a 68, and I constantly have it out, you know, with all my cars. And yeah, it's funny. I look at it and I think, look at that. The Camaro is just, it's unbelievable.
It is unreal.
It is. But
You're right, the doors were.
I mean, they're this big, they're this thick.
Yeah.
You know, enough to put the crank handle in there. That's all you, the mechanism, the glass and the mechanism, that was it.
That's all you had to do back then.
You know.
But I love what you're saying about pulling a bunch of weight out of the car.
Yeah, we are definitely going on a crusade to do that. Now, how much can we get? You know, I don't know. We're still looking at it, but I think, you know, 200 pounds is within our reach.
Well, look, all the domestics have a weight problem.
Yeah.
There's a huge opportunity across the board for GM, Ford, and Chrysler to take a lot of weight out.
There is. Yeah, I mean, there are. The problem, though, is, you know, and it's funny, everybody, we love our creature features here in the States, right? So the more you add things as standard features, right, the more it just adds into your weight model.
We love our life expectancy too, unfortunately, for cars.
Yeah.
So they're filled
And
with
we love
safety
fuel
equipment.
economy.
Yeah, right.
We do love fuel economy.
You know,
there.
but I mean, all the things that we want, the safety. I mean, you know, the Mustang's a 5-star crash-rated vehicle. You know, it's
5 5s?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So, you know, it's when you get all of that, right, it adds weight. I mean, standard dual exhaust, you know, the V6 in 2011 got slightly heavier. People say, well, why? You got an all-aluminum engine. Didn't you say, wait, yeah, I saved 40 pounds in the engine, and I put it back in with the, you know, with the exhaust and everything. So, yeah, we need to get lighter. There's no doubt. I agree, right? We need to get lighter, but it's not an easy task for sure.
No, I know it's not.
And when you want, you know, the type of quietness that you heard, the NVH pack that we put in that car, that
was impressive, and that's in a convertible. So, and the road out there is not the smoothest.
No.
So, yeah, that was pretty good.
That weighs a ton, you know. So, yeah, I think we can do it. We just need to do it smart.
Right.
And we've got, it's in our sights. We know what we need to do. Believe me, Mustang's not standing still.
Cool.
I've always said Camaro's going to have to chase me.
Well, you have a good job. I talked to Dave Hill, who's the Corvette chief engineer on C5, and he said the chief engineer is pretty much the only no bullshit job of the car company, because I actually have to ship a product and I can't hide under anything.
No.
And all of his bosses kind of could, and he couldn't. So I think you've got one of the toughest jobs, but you seem to have a good balance. So.
No, I appreciate it.
I approve. I'm glad that the
Thank
Mustang
you.
is in your hands. It feels
Thank
good.
you. I'll tell you, at the end of the day, man, you're constantly, like you say, right? You can't hide behind anything.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to analyze you. Everyone's going to come out and say whether or not you did a good job. You get a report card every day you come to work. But it's fun. I appreciate your comments. Thanks.
Cool.